Hi, Simon. Hello, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I would like to say I did not actually say I was doing every day of Vlogmas, and it's a good thing I didn't, because last week was a whole lot. It was the busiest week of my entire year, and I was very drained after this weekend. So it's Monday morning, the 9th of December. You will have seen some highlights of what I did over the last week. I took very little footage aside from the Christmas lights golf cart situation.
Golf cart!
Golf cart!
Yeah!
Where we went around the neighborhood and looked at lights, and then we got to vote on which lights we liked the most, which is a little difficult because there weren't like numbers or anything. You had to just put the house number, and we were driving a golf cart that didn't have lights, so there wasn't a whole lot of me writing things down, but it was still really fun, really pretty. And then, yeah, so that was the festive fun thing that we did this week. And then on Saturday, I made a whole bunch of cookies because one of the things that I drew last week was cookie boxes. So I did do that, and I made like 4 different kinds of cookies, technically 5, but we're gonna decorate the sugar cookies today. So it was a busy day. His helping was less helping and more mess making, but he enjoyed himself, which is the important part. So yeah, so that was like the festive things that we did. I did go out at some point with my former coworkers and have a drink and a meal, and then I had just some other stuff that was work related. So that was kind of the week behind us. So last week, the busy week, and then this should be a much slower week, knock on wood. But I finished both of my books, so I have to get new books. I did crank the little thing, and you'll see that now. I got a new prompt, which was to pick a book with my eyes closed. And I originally picked that when I finished my audiobook, but that's harder because I want to be more intentional with my audiobooks. Can you tell I'm tired after the week I had? So I have to do that, which will be my physical book. And then I need to get another book for my audiobook, and hopefully some other little tasks. So I thought I would take you along with doing that. But first I want to tell you about the 2 books. So the first one is The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janie Chang. So I've never read anything by Kate Quinn, but I've read everything except Janie Chang's most recent book. So I really enjoy Janie Chang's writing. I think the last one I read was The Library of Legends, which is probably my least favorite of her books, but I still liked it and I still enjoyed the writing style. And so when I heard about this book from Becca, she talked about it on her channel, I was like, yeah, I want to read that. But at the same time I was like, but I don't need to own that book. And the premise sounded interesting. It's set in San Francisco around the 1906 earthquake. And it kind of follows 2 main perspectives, but it really follows like 4-ish main characters and their stories. And I don't know. It was fine, but it's definitely not up there in my favorites of Janie Chang books. So I thought it was a little all over the place, and the pacing was not good. So we spend a lot of time getting to know the characters and setting up all these like relationships, and then figuring out this kind of like mystery situation in the middle of the book. But then like the last part of the book, it's like bing bang boom, everything happens, and like you have the earthquake, you have the resolution of the mystery, and then you also have like their lives throughout like years after, and then like another sort of like situation thing. So like the last quarter of the book was just like so much happening after the whole 3/4 of the beginning of the book was like super slow and like character focused for the most part. It just, yeah, it felt a little all over the place in that aspect. I did think the characters were pretty interesting. You have a Chinese seamstress who is orphaned and like living in Chinatown during the 1900s, and it kind of talks about like what it would have been like to live in Chinatown, how Chinese Americans as well as Chinese immigrants were treated in San Francisco during that time period, and like what opportunities were available to them or not. And then you have Gemma Garland, who is like from Kansas. She had a situation that happened in New York that like now she's in San Francisco with the Metropolitan Opera. She's an opera singer, and she's like really good opera singer, but she's not at the top of her career. And so we learn a little bit about like why. And I do think that there was I don't think it's a spoiler to say like there was a decent discussion about chronic illness and like its effect on people's lives. So I thought that the characters were interesting. You also have this botanist Alice, which I honestly wanted more of because I thought she was a really strong character. And then an artist that we hear about in various like perspectives. So yeah, I don't know. It was a good book, but not something that I would like widely recommend unless you just kind of are interested in that time period in San Francisco and the earthquake. I only vaguely knew about the earthquake, but I don't think I understood like the full ramifications of like how devastating that earthquake was to San Francisco. So that part was interesting, and I then went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole after reading that part. So yeah. And then the other book that I finished was this one. And this book was all the cozy vibes. So this is the second book in like a companion series called the Adenishire books. Siri, what are you doing? Nobody's talking to you. Nobody's talking to you. The Adenshire books, and this follows Dolly Butterbuckle, which if that name doesn't tell you coziness, I don't know what does. But she is one of the other characters that we're introduced to in the first book, Bake Off, and so we get kind of like some background on her story, and then she gets an inheritance from her family that involves this little buddy right here on the front of the book. And she meets this guy, and I mean it's a self-published like romance, like cozy fantasy romance situation. No spice, which that's my preference. And it just, I don't know, it was like a little warm hug. I loved being back with these characters. I can't say too much about it just because it's a companion book, but also like, I don't know. Anyways, I thought it was a fun romp. I did think that there was like, again, that situation where like we're learning about the characters, we're like introduced to them. It's like super cozy and slow and character focused. And then in the last 30 pages, all the action happens. I was a little bit more okay with it in this book only because I think that's just like, it's a cozy fantasy book. So like I wasn't expecting like high stakes or drama in this. But like also I knew that it was gonna be like a third act situation, which was more like a fourth act situation. So I didn't mind it as much in this one, but still I think I enjoyed the first book a lot more. And I think that that is because the first book is like, it's at like a bake off. And so each of there's like challenges. And it's like she arrives at the competition, challenge 1, challenge 2, challenge 3. So like the author had goalposts to move the plot along in those like different chunks, and I think that that benefited her greatly, whereas this one didn't really have goalposts. It's sort of like a free-for-all, and I think it suffered a little because of that, but I still really enjoyed it and is exactly what I wanted at the time. And apparently the next one is set in winter, so I feel like I need to get it sooner rather than later and either read it in December or in January. But yeah, I will definitely be continuing on with these, and I would recommend them if you like cozy fantasy.
I love you. My buddy? Yeah? I don't know why he's sitting here, but he's just hanging out. Hi.
All right, here we are with the good old machine. We do have to do pick with your eyes closed, and I did do cookie boxes, so that goes over there. I also did local Christmas event, so that goes over there. So let's see if we get a book or an event. Oh, we got a book right off the bat. Jeez. We did. So I will be a book bought used. It's still not exactly what I wanted in terms of my audiobook. I also want some activity prompts. Hold on, I gotta shake. The next one's not an activity prompt. Because I can see what fell down in there. And I know what it is. So the question is, do I get it? This is not going as I planned at all, which I mean, like, does it ever? Because I could pick a book with my eyes closed, and I could pick a book I bought used, but I want that one because there are 2 options for this. And one of them is the sequel to the book I just literally finished. So I could go ahead and get it. Watch it not be what comes out. It is. So the gold ball is the only one I know what's in it, and it is a book prompt, and it is buy and read a book. So buy a book and immediately read it. So am I gonna just go ahead and buy that self-published book? Sure am. Sure am. The other book that I was possibly going to read for this was the new book by Lex Croucher, which is a Robin Hood retelling, but queer ladies. But I really want to listen to the audiobook of that, and I am waiting for the library copy to come up, and likely it's not going to come up before the end of the year. So yeah, I'm gonna buy the next book in the Aidenshire, because I think it just came out, actually. Like, just came out. Okay, let's try one more time to see if we can get an activity. Because if this is a book, I'll put it back. It is a book. Oh my gosh. Ugh. How did all the book prompts get at the bottom? Alright, come on, activity. Because the thought was, this is also a book prompt. The thought was that I would get more activities than book prompts, but that's not what's happening. Okay, that's an activity prompt. So let's get one more. Let's see if we can get 2 activity prompts. That's a book. This is... I feel like these things never go as planned. Okay, I got 2 activity prompts. Excellent. We're going to cut it off there instead of continuing to just pull prompts. So the first one is to watch a Christmas movie. So that's fun. And then the next one is a yes day with my little. Oh, God. I don't know if I have the bandwidth for that after last weekend, but we will try because it doesn't have to be done like right now. I could take my time with that, so yeah. All right, so here's my bookshelf, and here are my eyeballs that I'm gonna close, and then I have to just do this number. I really would love something short, so I'm gonna go up here. Oh, that's not short. Oh, okay. How much of these hills is gold? All right. I really enjoyed this author's newer book, The Land of Milk and Honey. I thought it was like delightfully weird and like a little grotesque, but I've heard a lot of good things about this. I avoided it for a really long time because I don't usually like Westerns, and I'm pretty sure this is like a Western, but I'm going to give it a go because I do like this author's writing style, and hopefully I like this one too. Yep.